Commander Veltrix felt the ship shake again. Another explosion tore through the engine room of the Harmonious Peace. His thin fingers moved across the control panel, but nothing worked anymore. The ship was dying, and so was his crew. Its life support at 12%, his navigator Kalmish said. Her voice was weak. The bird-like alien could barely stand, temperature dropping fast. Veltrix looked at the star map. They were far from any council world. Only one planet showed signs of technology nearby, a small blue world. The computer called it Earth. The database said it was primitive, pre-contact civilization. No space travel beyond their own moon. Send a distress call to that planet, Veltrix ordered. Use mathematics. Universal language. But, Commander, they are primitive. They might not understand, then we die here. Veltrix pressed the button himself. The message went out into space. Numbers. Coordinates. A plea for help in the only language that could cross the stars. On Earth. Dr. Hyjin was working the night shift at the radio telescope, Ray and Soul. She loved the quiet hours when the city slept, and she could listen to the stars. Her coffee had gone cold an hour ago. She reached for it anyway. Then her screen exploded with data. This was not natural, not random cosmic noise. This was a pattern, a message. Mathematical sequences that pointed to coordinates in space, just past the moon. And it was repeating. Over and over, like someone crying for help. Hyjin's hands shook as she picked up the phone. This is Dr. Lee Hyjin, at the array. I need to speak with the director. Now we have a signal. An alien signal. The next 12 hours were chaos. Governments argued. Scientists debated. Religious leaders prayed. But Pilot J1 looked at the numbers and knew they had no time. Someone was dying up there. He went to the launch facility. The Baekdu was an experimental fusion shuttle, humanity's first real spaceship. It was supposed to launch next month for a Mars mission. Instead, J1 started the pre-flight sequence at 3 a.m. Cannot do this alone, Commander Taman said, walking into the hangar. The military officer was already wearing a flight suit. Behind him came Engineer Nari with her toolkit. Memetic Biora carried medical supplies. Security Officer D. Jung checked his equipment one last time. I was not planning to, J1 said with a small smile. They launched before anyone could stop them. The Baekdu roared into the dark sky. Earth fell away below them. Ahead, past the moon, something waited. The alien ship looked wrong. Veltrix knew this. Parts of the hull were torn open. Wires sparked in the vacuum. His crew lay on the floor, too weak to stand. The temperature had dropped to 15 degrees Celsius. For humans, this was cool. For Peltharians, it was killing cold. I see lights, Kalmish whispered. A ship they came. Veltrix felt hope and fear together. Hope, because someone had answered. Fear, because the database had finally loaded the full file on Earth. What he read made his blood run colder than the dying ship around him. The Baekdu docked with the alien vessel. Taman led the team inside. They wore light suits, nothing heavy, just protection from vacuum. The airlock opened and they entered. The ship was dark and cold. Taman could see his breath, but barely. It was like autumn back home. He saw movement ahead. Something small and fragile. Bird-like beings with skin like glass. They looked terrified. Bora, we have survivors, Taman said into his radio. They look hurt. Biora moved forward with her medical kit. She knelt beside the nearest alien. It flinched away from her touch. I am here to help, she said softly, even though they could not understand. Dayung found a trapped crew member under a fallen support beam. The metal had bent and pinned the small alien to the floor. Dajung grabbed the beam with both hands. He pulled the titanium bent like soft plastic. The alien stared at him with huge, terrified eyes. Nari accessed the ship's computer. Her translation program started working on their language. Slowly, words began to make sense. She heard one of the aliens speaking. The commander, she thought. Please, the alien said. Please do not harm us. We surrender. Take what you want. Just let us live. Nari frowned. She checked her translation program. It was working correctly. Why did they think the humans would hurt them? Taman heard the translation through his earpiece. He removed his helmet and knelt in front of the alien commander. We are not here to take anything. We came to rescue you. But the word rescue did not translate right. In Piltharian language, it came out as claim as property. Veltrix saw the creature's face. It had forward-facing eyes, predator eyes. Its body radiated heat like a small sun. It could breathe in this toxic oxygen atmosphere without any equipment. Veltrix looked into those strange eyes and saw something he did not expect. Kindness. Concern. This powerful being was worried about him. It will take you to our ship, Timon said. You will be safe there. The humans carried the Peltharians back to the Baidu. They were so light, like carrying children. Biora wrapped them in heated blankets. Nari adjusted the atmosphere to lower oxygen levels. Daejung prepared special seats with safety harnesses for their fragile bodies. Veltrix lay in the medical bay and watched the humans work. They moved with such ease in conditions that would kill most species. That large one, Daejung, had bent titanium with his bare hands. The medical one, Bara, touched him with hands so hot they felt like fire. Yet she was gentle. Nari sat beside him with a tablet. She had accessed his ship's database. He watched her face change as she read about his world. Pilthora. A paradise planet with gentle gravity, warm temperatures, and no dangers. Then she accessed what his database said about Earth. Her eyes went wide. She read it 3 times. Then she looked at Veltrix. Your database says our world is a death world, she said quietly. Veltrix managed to nod. Class 12. The highest danger rating. Nothing should be able to evolve there. Nothing should be able to survive. Nari looked around at her crew. At Taman, giving orders. At Biora, checking medical readings. At Daejung, securing equipment. At J1, piloting them home. Normal people doing their jobs. It is just home to us, she said. The Baidu turned toward the blue planet below. Veltrix stared at it through the window. That beautiful, terrible world had created these impossible beings. These humans who could break metal and yet chose to heal, who survived in poison and fire and yet came to save strangers. For the first time in his life, Veltrix understood what the ancient texts meant when they spoke of Deathworlders. They were not monsters. They were miracles. Shaped by hell into something stronger than the galaxy had ever seen, and they had just saved his life. The Baidu landed in Seoul 3 days later. The world had changed in that time. Everyone knew now. Aliens were real. They were here, and humans had saved them. The Peltharians were taken to a special medical facility. Doctors worked around the clock to understand their biology. The aliens needed cooler temperatures, lower oxygen, and lighter gravity. The humans built special rooms for them. Within a week, the Peltharians were recovering. Veltrix sat in his temperature-controlled room and watched the news broadcasts. He was learning human languages through a translation device. Korean first, then English, then others. What he saw on those broadcasts amazed him. Humans were arguing about everything. Some wanted to be friends with aliens. Others were afraid. Some saw profit opportunities. Others saw danger. They could not agree on anything. Yet somehow, they had still come together to save his crew. Commander Taman visited every day. He brought small gifts. Earth foods that might be safe for Peltharians. Books translated into galactic standard language. Pictures of Earth's nature. Why do you show me these? Veltrix asked one day, looking at images of mountains and oceans. Because you are afraid of us, Timene said simply. I want you to understand us better. Veltrix looked at a picture of a mountain. Mount Everest, the translation said. Your people climb this for fun? Some do. It is very dangerous. Many die trying. But why? Taman thought for a moment. Because it is there. Because it challenges us. Because we want to see if we can. This made no sense to Veltrix. On Pelthra, no one did dangerous things for fun. Why would they? Life was meant to be peaceful and safe. Engineer Nari spent hours with Veltrix, exchanging information. She wanted to learn about galactic technology. He wanted to understand Earth. The trade was fair. But every day, Nari learned something that shocked her. Your ships cannot handle more than 2G acceleration? She asked. That is very fast, Veltrix explained. Our bodies cannot survive more. Even to G for too long causes injuries. Nari did quick math on her tablet. Our fighter pilots regularly experience 9G during combat maneuvers. Some can survive 12G for short periods. Veltrix felt sick. 9G would liquefy his internal organs. These humans lived with forces that would kill him instantly. What about disease? He asked. Your world has many diseases according to our database. Yes, but our immune systems are very strong. We fight off thousands of infections throughout our lives. Most we never even notice, and predators. Your database mentions creatures that weigh thousands of kilograms. Nari pulled up images. Tigers, lions, bears, crocodiles, sharks. Yes, but we learned to defend against them thousands of years ago. Now, we mostly try to protect them from extinction. You protect your predators? They are part of our world. We almost lost them because we were too good at killing them. Now we work to keep them alive. Veltrix could not process this. Earth had created ultimate predators, and those predators had become protectors of other predators. It was backwards from everything he knew. Dr. Hyjin visited with scientific questions. She was gentle and curious. She reminded Veltrix of scholars on his homeworld, but even she was terrifying in her own way. She told him about Earth's history, the ice ages, the volcanic eruptions, the asteroid impacts, the mass extinctions. 5 times life on Earth nearly ended, Hyjin explained. Each time something survived, something adapted, something evolved stronger, and humans survived all of this. Our ancestors did, and their ancestors before them. Every generation stronger than the last. Every generation learning new ways to survive. Medik Biora was perhaps the kindest human Veltrix met. She checked his health daily. She made sure he was comfortable. She even brought him a small plant from Earth as a gift. It was safe for his room. She had checked carefully. Why are you so kind to us? Veltrix asked her one day. Your world made you strong. Why not use that strength to conquer? Biora sat down beside his bed. Strength without kindness is just cruelty. My grandmother taught me that. She survived a terrible war when she was young. She saw what humans can do to each other when we forget to be kind. It is not something I want to repeat, but you could. Your people could conquer the galaxy, maybe, but why would we want to? We have enough problems on our own world. We do not need to create more by hurting others. Security Officer Daejung was the most frightening to Veltrix. The large human had military training. He could kill with his bare hands. Yet he spent his free time teaching children martial arts. Veltrix watched a video of Daejung with small human children, showing them how to fall safely, how to defend themselves. You teach children to fight? I teach them to protect themselves and others. There is a difference. Fighting is about hurting. Protection is about preventing hurt. After 2 weeks, Veltrix asked to speak with the medical team. His crew was healthy enough to travel. It was time to go home. Time to report to the council. The night before they left, the humans threw a farewell gathering. They called it a party. Veltrix and his crew sat in their special environment suits and watched humans dance, laugh, and share food. It was chaotic and loud and wonderful. Pilot, the one who had flown support missions during their stay, showed them videos of Earth's cities. This is Tokyo. This is New York. This is Lagos. This is Mumbai. We have built so much, but we are still learning, still growing. You build in earthquake zones, Veltrix observed, in floodplains, on volcanic islands. Why? Because that is where we are, the one said with a shrug. We cannot choose perfect places. We make the best of what we have. The next morning, a council ship arrived to take the Peltharians home. Commander Taman and his crew stood at the landing site to say goodbye. Veltrix looked at these humans one last time. They had given his crew 2 weeks of care and friendship. They had asked for nothing in return. They had shown only kindness. "Thank you," Veltrix said, "for saving us. For showing us who you are. Will you tell the council about us?" Hai-Jin asked. "I must. They need to know you exist. Will they be afraid?" Taemin asked. Veltrix was quiet for a moment. "Yes, I think they will be very afraid. But I will also tell them what I learned here. That strength and kindness can exist together. That Deathworlders are not monsters." Oh. The Peltharians boarded their rescue ship. As it lifted off, Veltrix watched Earth fall away below. That beautiful, terrible planet, that impossible world that had created impossible beings. He had his report prepared. He had his evidence. Ship logs, medical scans, videos. Everything the council would need to verify his story, but he knew the truth would be hard to believe. The galaxy had never seen anything like humanity. They evolved in hell and came out the other side as something new, something stronger, something that chose peace when they could have chosen war. The council needed to know. The galaxy needed to prepare, because humanity would not stay on their death world forever. They were already reaching for the stars. And when they arrived, everything would change. Veltrix looked at his crew. They were safe because humans had chosen to save them. Kalmish was alive because Daedrung had bent metal to free her. His engineer survived because Bora had treated injuries that would have been fatal without help. The humans had called it a rescue. But Veltrix knew it was more than that. It was first contact. It was proof that different species could work together. It was hope for a galaxy that had forgotten what true strength looked like as the ship jumped too faster than light travel. Drix began writing his full report. The council would read it. They would argue about it. They would probably not believe half of it. But the truth remained simple. Humanity existed. They were strong. They were kind. And they were coming to the stars whether the galaxy was ready or not. The Galactic Council Chamber was built for 1,000 species. Representatives from across the known galaxy gathered in their specific environment pods. Some breathed methane. Others needed high pressure. A few existed as energy patterns. But all of them were there for the same reason, to hear about the humans. Veltrix stood at the central podium. His pod maintained Piltharian conditions while he addressed the council. High Chancellor Kiltish, a wise Netherian with silver scales, sat at the head chamber. Around him, hundreds of alien faces watched and waited. "I present my report on species 784-B, native to planet Earth in the Outer Arm regions," Veltrix began. His voice carried through translation systems. "They call themselves humans. They rescued my crew from certain death. And they come from what our classification system designates as a Class 12 death world." The chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted in 100 languages. Impossible. Deathworlders were theoretical. Nothing could evolve on a Class 12 world. Chancellor Kiltesh raised one long arm. Silence fell. "Continue, Commander Veltrix. We will hear all evidence before making judgments." Veltrix played the recordings. The Baekdu approaching his dying ship. Daejung bending titanium with his bare hands. Biora working in toxic oxygen levels without breathing equipment. Taemin moving easily in what should have been crushing gravity. "Their planet has 1 g gravity," Veltrix explained. "They consider this normal. Temperature swings of over 140 degrees Celsius. Oxygen levels at 21%. Natural predators weighing 6,000 kilograms. Regular natural disasters. Disease, poisonous plants and animals. And yet they thrive." A Quarian delegate spoke up. "This must be edited footage. Computer generated. No organic being could survive those conditions." "I have medical scans of the humans who rescued us," Veltrix countered. "Their bone density is 3 times Piltharian standard. Their muscle tissue can generate force levels we require mechanical assistance to achieve. Their immune systems fight off pathogens that would kill most council species within hours." Another delegate, this time a Vexian. "If they are so dangerous, Why did they help you? Because they are also kind, Veltrix said simply. They saved us expecting nothing in return. They nursed us back to health. They showed us only friendship. The debates went on for days. Some delegates wanted to quarantine Earth immediately. Others wanted to study these humans. A few saw potential for trade and cooperation. But everyone agreed on one thing: the galaxy had changed. News of humanity spread across the Council networks. Scientists wanted to visit Earth. Military strategists worried about the security implications. Philosophers debated what it meant that Deathworlders existed. On Earth, Dr. Heijin monitored the galactic communications. Her team had built better receivers after the Pelethrian rescue. Now they could listen to parts of the Council networks. What they heard was concerning. They are afraid of us, she told Commander Taman during a briefing. Some want to be friends, but many just see us as weapons or threats. We are not weapons, Taman said firmly. Try telling them that, engineer, Nari said, pointing to her screen. Look at this. The Crothian Empire. They have been quiet during the Council debates, but their military is mobilizing. The Crothian Empire controlled 40 star systems. They had conquered each one through military force. Their society was built on strength and domination. And now, they had learned about a species that might be stronger than them. In the throne room on Krothos Prime, War Master Drakter read the reports about Earth. He was a large being, even by Crothian standards. His exoskeleton was covered in battle scars. He had led armies across the stars. These humans, he growled to his advisors. If they are as strong as reported, they would make excellent soldiers. The Council is debating giving them protections, one advisor warned. If we act too quickly, the Council debates everything, Drakter interrupted. By the time they make a decision, we will already have claimed Earth. One primitive planet. No real space fleet. They will be easy to conquer. The reports say they fought off our scout probes. Scout probes. Not a real fleet? Drakter stood to his full height. Assemble our forces. 60 warships. We will take this Earth before the Council can interfere. And we will have the strongest slave soldiers the galaxy has ever seen. Back on Earth, the Global Defense Council met in emergency session. Every nation had representatives. For once, old enemies sat together. The threat from space united them. The Crothians are coming, General Park from Korea announced. Beside him, Heijin displayed the intelligence data. 60 warships, each one larger than anything we have ever built. Estimated arrival, 72 hours. The room fell silent. Earth had 6 fusion shuttles. Some satellites with basic weapons. Nuclear missiles that might work in space but had never been tested there. Against 60 advanced warships, humanity had no chance. We cannot win a space battle, Admiral Chen from the Pacific Fleet stated. Our only option is to make them fight on our terms. You mean let them reach Earth? Someone asked. You mean make them land, Taman said, standing up. In space, we are outmatched. But on Earth, on our world, we have the advantage. How? A European delegate demanded. They have advanced weapons and armor. Daejung, standing against the back wall, spoke up. They have never fought on a death world before. The gravity will slow them down. The atmosphere will confuse their sensors. The temperature will weaken them. And we know every inch of our planet. Nari pulled up tactical displays. I have been studying their ships from our telescope data. Their shields are designed for space combat. Against kinetic weapons bullets, missiles, they are less effective. We have been perfecting kinetic weapons for thousands of years. Pilot the One added her analysis. Their ships are big and slow, built for overwhelming force, not maneuverability. Our fighters are small and fast. On Earth, in our atmosphere, we can outfly them. You're talking about fighting a galactic empire with jets and rifles, someone said. This is insane. This is humanity, Taman replied. We do not surrender. We do not give up. If they want Earth, they have to take it from us, and we will make them pay for every meter. The vote was unanimous. Earth would defend itself, not in space. on the ground, in the air, in the cities and mountains and oceans. In the environment that had made humanity strong, orders went out across the globe. Military forces mobilized. Civilians evacuated from likely landing zones. Engineers modified weapons for fighting aliens. Doctors prepared for casualties. Everyone had a role to play. Hyjin stood on the roof of her laboratory, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, a fleet was coming to conquer her world. They thought humans would be easy to defeat. They thought wrong. Are you afraid? Nari asked, joining her, a terrified Hyjin admitted. But also ready. We did not survive ice ages and plagues and everything else just to surrender now. The council will know what happened here, Nari said. Win or lose, they will know that humans fought back. Then let us make sure we win, Hyjin replied. Let us show the galaxy what Deathworlders can really do. In orbit, automated satellites watched and waited. Early warning systems came online. Every radar, every telescope, every sensor humanity possessed pointed toward the outer system, waiting for the enemy to arrive. On the ground, Taman checked his equipment one last time. Body armor, rifle, communications gear, medical supplies, the basics. Nothing fancy, just good, simple, human technology built to work in any condition. Around him, soldiers from every nation did the same. Korean, American, Russian, Chinese, Nigerian, Brazilian, Australian. Different languages, different cultures, but all human. All ready to defend their home. The Crothian fleet would arrive in 3 days. 3 days to prepare, 3 days to ready the planet. 3 days before the galaxy learned what happened when you called the wrong. World Drokter sat on his command throne and watched the countdown. Soon they would reach Earth. Soon they would claim their prize. He had conquered 40 worlds. This would be 40-1, but War Master Drokter had never fought Deathworlders before. He had never faced a species that evolved to survive in hell itself. He had never encountered humanity, and that was his mistake. The Crothian fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 60 warships, each one a kilometer long. Weapons that could destroy cities from orbit. Shields that had never been breached in battle. War Master Drukter watched Earth on his view screen, a blue and green marble hanging in space. So small, so vulnerable. He would take it in a day. Begin standard bombardment pattern, he ordered. Target their major cities first. When they surrender, we move to ground operations. Drokter did not know that Earth was watching. Every satellite, every telescope, every sensor. Humanity had seen them coming for 3 days, and humanity was ready. The Crothian fleet entered Earth's orbit. They began charging their main weapons. Energy readings spiked across the orbital space. In minutes, they would begin firing. Then the satellites attacked. Old satellites, new satellites. Commercial satellites modified with weapons. Military satellites kept secret for decades. All of them fired at once. Kinetic rounds. Simple metal projectiles accelerated to incredible speeds. No fancy energy weapons. Just mass and velocity, the rounds hit Crothian shields like rain. Most bounced off, but some got through. Small holes, minor damage. Nothing serious. Drokta laughed. Is this their defense? Throwing rocks at us? Then the second wave hit. Missiles, thousands of them. Nuclear warheads. Conventional explosives, electromagnetic pulses. All launched at once from hidden positions around the planet. The Crothian shields held. But now they were weakened. The constant impacts stressed the shield generators. Warning lights appeared on control panels. Deploy fighters, Drukter ordered. Clear these primitive weapons. Prepare for bombardment. Crothian fighters launched. Sleek ships designed for space combat. Fast and deadly. They swept toward the satellites and missiles. Firing energy weapons. That was when Earth's atmosphere came alive. Fighter jets burst up through the clouds. Hundreds of them. Korean, American, Russian, Chinese, Indian, European. From every nation, from every base, human pilots took to the sky. Old jets, new jets. Whatever could fly and fight? Pilot the One led the Korean squadron. Her fighter was small compared to Crothian ships, but it was fast, so fast. She pushed the throttle forward and felt the G-forces slam into her body. 7 Gs, 8 Gs, 9 Gs. Levels that would kill most aliens instantly. She did not even flinch. The Crothian pilots tried to follow, but Earth's thick atmosphere confused their sensors. Sounds traveled differently here. Radio signals scattered. Their ships built for space flew like wounded birds in the dense air. The One locked onto a target. Her missile flew. Impact. The Crothian fighter exploded. She pulled hard right, feeling 10 Gs squeeze her body. Another target. Another kill. Around her, human pilots did the same. In space, Drucker watched in disbelief. His fighters were falling. Not all of them, but enough. These humans flew like madmen. They pulled turns that should break their ships apart. They moved with instincts that seemed impossible. They have been evolving to hunt, his tactical officer said quietly. For millions of years, predator instincts. They are still primitives, Drucker growled. But doubt crept into his voice. Begin landing operations. Get our ground forces on the planet. End this quickly. The Crothian dropships descended. Large, heavily armored transports. They carried thousands of soldiers in powered armor. Soldiers bred and trained for conquest. They would crush any resistance. The dropships entered the atmosphere over Korea, Russia, and North America. Multiple landing zones. Standard invasion tactics. They landed in forests, mountains, near cities. Places where humans would have to fight in the open. The dropships opened. Crothian soldiers marched out in formation. Each wore powered armor that amplified their strength, weapons that could melt through steel, sensors that could detect heat signatures from kilometers away. Daejun watched from the forest. His special forces team lay perfectly still in the undergrowth. Their body armor was simple, cloth and ceramic plates. Nothing fancy, but they did not need fancy. They had something better. They knew this forest. The Crothians marched forward. Their armor was heavy, even with power assistance. Earth's gravity pulled at them. 1G felt like twice their home gravity. Every step was harder than it should be. Their heat sensors showed nothing. The forest was warm. The air was humid. Everything showed heat. Too much information. Too much noise. Where were the humans? Then the forest exploded. Gunfire from 100 positions. Simple bullets. Kinetic rounds. They hit Crothian armor, and most bounced off. But some found weak points. Joints, sensors, exposed areas. The Crothians tried to return fire, but they could not see their targets. The humans moved like ghosts. Fire and disappear. Fire and move. Never staying in one place, Dae-Jung raised his rifle. One shot. A Crothian officer went down, his helmet sensor destroyed. Before the body hit the ground, Darjong was gone. Moving to a new position, silent as death. The Crothians had sensors that should track any heat signature. But humans had learned something important. Earth was already hot. Life was everywhere. Heat was everywhere. The Crothians' advanced sensors could not separate human heat from the living world around them. In the mountains, another landing zone became a killing field. Crothian soldiers, in heavy armor, struggled to climb slopes that human soldiers ran up easily. Rock slides, avalanches, ambushes from above. The mountains fought for humanity. In the cities, Crothian forces found themselves in close quarters combat. Urban warfare. Room to room. Building to building. Their large armor could not fit through some doorways. Their weapons were too powerful, causing collateral damage that blocked their own paths. Human soldiers used this. Small teams. Hit and run. Trap and ambush. The cities became mazes where size and power meant nothing. Above, the space battle continued. The Prothean fleet tried to provide support, but they could not fire on their own troops. And human anti-air batteries hit any ship that flew too low. Simple radar-guided missiles. Technology hundreds of years old, but effective. Nari, coordinated from the command center. Screens showed battles across the globe. Numbers, casualties, both sides taking losses. But the Protheans were taking more. They expected easy victory, she said to Haijin beside her. They thought we would surrender. They forgot. Haijin replied, watching the tactical displays. We do not surrender. We never surrender. On his flagship, Dr. watched his careful invasion plan fall apart. His fighters could not match human pilots in atmosphere. His ground forces were bogged down in guerrilla warfare. His ships could not provide effective support without killing their own soldiers. How? He demanded. They have primitive technology. We should be winning. It is not their technology, his tactical officer said. It is them. They are adapted for this world. We are not. Every breath is harder for us. Every movement fights against the gravity. The temperature variations stress our systems, and they are born for war. Dr. made a decision. Full retreat. All forces return to ships. We bombard from orbit. Destroy their military capacity completely. The order went out. Prothean forces began withdrawing. Dropships descended to retrieve soldiers. The humans pressed the attack. No mercy. For the retreating enemy, the one saw her chance. A Prothean command ship, lower than the others. Trying to coordinate the retreat, she armed her last missile. It was a long shot. The ship was at the edge of her range. She fired anyway. The missile streaked through the air. The Prothean ship tried to evade. But in Earth's atmosphere, their maneuverability was limited. The missile hit the shield generator. The shield failed. The ship began to fall. As it crashed, it took out 2 other Prothean vessels in its path. 3 ships down from 1 missile shot. In the forest, Daejung led the final assault on a Prothean landing zone. The aliens were trying to reach their dropships. Human forces cut them off. No quarter. No escape. The battle lasted 3 hours total. When it ended, the Prothean fleet was running. 48 ships remained of the original 60. 20% casualties. Unheard of. Impossible. On the ground, Prothean losses were even worse. Thousands of soldiers dead or captured. Equipment destroyed. Morale shattered. Dr. watched Earth disappear behind them as his fleet jumped away. That beautiful, terrible world. He had underestimated them. He had thought primitives would be easy prey. But humanity was not primitive. They were experienced. Evolved through millions of years of survival. They had fought their own world and won. Fighting aliens was just another challenge. Dr. sent one final message before the fleet. Entered faster than light travel. Not to Earth. To the Galactic Council. Quarantine Sector 7. The humans are not primitives. They are Deathworlders. True Deathworlders. And they are more dangerous than any species in Council space. On Earth, celebrations erupted. Humanity had one. Against impossible odds, they had defended their world. The Prothean Empire, which had conquered 40 star systems, had been defeated by one planet commander. Taemin stood among his soldiers, tired, bloody, victorious around him.
Oh.
Men and women from every nation embraced. They had fought together. They had won together. The galaxy will never be the same, Haijin said, watching news of the victory spread across the planet. No, Taemin agreed. They called us primitives. They called us weak. They were wrong. The Battle of Terra was over. Humanity had spoken, and the galaxy had heard. 3 weeks after the battle, a different kind of ship approached Earth. This one did not come with weapons charged. It came with diplomatic flags. The Galactic Council had sent their official delegation. On Earth, preparations were frantic. Humanity had proven they could fight. Now they needed to prove they could talk. The meeting would happen in Geneva, in a specially built facility that could accommodate different alien environments. Dr. Haijin was chosen as chief science representative. Commander Taemin would lead the military delegation. Engineer Nari worked as chief translator and technical advisor. Together with representatives from every Earth nation, they would face the galaxy. The council ship landed. The delegation emerged. Leading them was High Chancellor Kiltesh of the Netherians. His silver scales caught the light. Behind him walked familiar faces. Commander Veltrix had returned. He was not just a survivor now. He was an ambassador. Humanity, Kiltesh said through translators. You have shocked the galaxy. The Crothion Empire ruled 40 systems. You defeated them in 3 hours. We defended our home, Taemin replied simply. Nothing more? Nothing more? Kiltesh's scales rippled in what might have been amusement. The Crothians are withdrawing from half their territories. Their subject species are rebelling. Their empire is collapsing. All because you showed the galaxy that they are not invincible. The delegations moved inside. The meeting room was impressive. Multiple environment pods for different species. Translation systems that worked in real time. Humanity had built it all in 3 weeks. The council representatives noted this. These humans worked fast. Veltrix approached Taemin privately before the formal talks began. I told them what I learned about your people. About your kindness? But after the battle, many only see your strength. We are both, Taemin said. We had to be. Our world made us strong. Our society taught us to be kind. We cannot forget either part. That is what scares them, Veltrix admitted. A species that can destroy, but chooses not to. It is something new. The formal negotiations lasted 3 days. The council had many concerns. Earth's military capability, human expansion into space, the potential for conflict. They wanted assurances. They wanted controls. They wanted to make sure humanity would not become the next Crothian Empire. Haijin presented humanity's case. We do not want to conquer. We want to learn. We want to explore. We want to meet other species and understand them. Yes, we are strong. But strength is not the same as cruelty, Vexian delegate spoke. How can we trust this? You defeated a galactic empire, because we could have done worse, Nari said, pulling up battlefield data. Look at the Crothian casualties. 80% of their soldiers survived. We captured them instead of killing them. We disabled their ships instead of destroying them. We fought to defend, not to annihilate. Another delegate, a Quarian. Your weapons are primitive compared to ours. What happens when you develop advanced technology? We will use it the same way we use everything else, Taemin answered. To protect our interests and help our friends. We are not perfect. We have made many mistakes in our history, but we learn from them. We try to be better, the council debated among themselves. Hours passed. Arguments rose and fell. Some delegates wanted harsh restrictions on humanity. Others advocated for partnership. A few still wanted complete quarantine. Finally, High Chancellor Kiltesh called for silence. I have a proposal. The Council has never encountered a species like humanity. It's Deathworlders. But more than that, you are survivors who chose cooperation over domination. You are warriors who value peace. You are strong enough to destroy, but wise enough to build. He gestured to his delegation. We offer Earth-independent membership in the Galactic Council. Full protections under Council law, but with conditions. The room tensed. Here came the restrictions. Here came the controls. Human military expansion will be monitored by neutral observers, Kiltesh continued. Human biological advantages will not be weaponized or sold. And humanity will serve as protectors for Council species who request your aid. Protectors? Haijin asked. There are thousands of species in the galaxy, Veltrix explained. Many are as fragile as Peltharians. They face threats from pirates, from rogue states, from natural disasters. The Council's military is spread thin. But humanity excels at protection, at rescue, at surviving impossible situations. You want us to be the galaxy's rescue service? Nari said. We want you to do what you did for us, Veltrix replied. Save those who need saving. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. Use your strength for good. The human delegation asked for time to confer. They stepped into a private room. For an hour, they debated. It is not what we expected, one representative said. They are not trying to control us. They are asking us to help. But monitored expansion? Observers. Another argued. That is still restriction. It is partnership, Tame countered. They want to make sure we do not become threats. Can we blame them? We defeated a galactic empire. Of course they are cautious. Hyjin looked at the proposal details. We keep our independence. We keep our military. We just agree to oversight and to help when asked. This is fair. Bira, who had come as a medical advisor, spoke quietly. When we rescued the Pletharians, we did not ask for payment. We did not demand conditions. We just helped because it was right. This proposal asks us to keep doing that. Is that so bad? The vote was unanimous. Humanity would accept. They returned to the main chamber. Taman stood before the council. Earth accepts your proposal. We will join the Galactic Council. We will accept monitoring. And we will help protect those who need protection. But understand this. We do not do this from weakness. We do this because it is who we choose to be. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some delegates celebrated. Others looked worried. But the decision was made. Humanity had joined the galaxy officially. News spread across council space within hours. Humanity had arrived. The Deathworlders were now partners, not threats. Reactions varied wildly. Some species immediately reached out. Scientists wanted to exchange knowledge. Traders wanted to establish markets. Explorers wanted to share discoveries. Other species retreated. The Crothian Empire continued its collapse. Drokter was removed from command. His replacement sent a formal message to Earth. We acknowledge our mistake. We seek peace. Pride had been replaced by pragmatism. But the most dramatic change happened among the Crothian subject species. When they learned about humanity's victory, they found courage. If one planet could defeat the Empire, what could 40 planets do together? The rebellion spread, not with violence, but with civil resistance. Work stoppages, peaceful protests, demands for freedom. The Crothians, weakened and demoralized, began negotiations. Within a year, the Empire would dissolve, and its subject species would gain independence. On Earth, construction began on humanity's first true starships. Not weapons of war, ships of exploration, ships of science, ships that could carry diplomats, doctors, engineers, and yes, soldiers when needed for protection. Hyjin stood in the new orbital shipyard, watching the first ship take shape. They had named it Unity. It seemed appropriate. What do you think will happen now? Nari asked beside her. I think the galaxy just learned what happens when you underestimate humanity, Hyjin replied. We came from a death world. We survived things that would kill most species. But we never let that survival turn us cruel. That is what makes us different. Do you think we will succeed out there? Nari gestured to the stars beyond. We succeeded here, Hyjin said. We survived ice ages and plagues. We built civilizations in deserts and on frozen tundra. We created art and music and science while our world tried to kill us. If we can do that here, we can do anything out there, Commander Taman addressed the crew of the Unity on launch day. Soldiers and scientists, diplomats and engineers, humans from every nation chosen to represent Earth among the stars. We go into the unknown, he said. We will meet new species. We will face new challenges. Some will welcome us. Others will fear us. But we carry with us the lessons of Earth. We are strong because our world demanded strength. We are kind because we chose kindness. We protect because we know what it means to struggle. And we explore because we refuse to be limited by fear. The Unity launched on a Tuesday morning. Half the world watched. The ship rose from Earth's engines burning bright. It reached orbit. Then faster-than-light travel engaged, and humanity's first diplomatic vessel jumped to the stars. Across the galaxy, species watched and wondered. These humans, these Deathworlders, were coming. They brought technology and strength. But more importantly, they brought something the galaxy had forgotten. Hope. Hope that strength could be used for good. Hope that different species could work together. Hope that survival of the fittest did not mean cruelty had to win. In his chamber on the Council homeworld, Veltrix watched Earth on his view screen. That blue marble. That terrible, wonderful world. It had created something the galaxy desperately needed. Not conquerors. Not victims. But partners. They called the wrong world, he said softly to himself. The Crothions called for conquest to a world that had been conquering itself for millions of years. And the galaxy shook. He touched a control panel. A message for his personal logs. Something his children would read someday.